Adishwar Autoride India Group has taken it upon itself to bring in more variety and flavor to the Indian market by introducing a couple of foreign brands here. One such brand is China-based Zontes, which has entered India with 5 350cc motorcycles, two of which we have here with us today. It's the 350R and the 350T. Now, we have got a brief amount of time with each one of them, and once we are done riding both the bikes, we'll tell you our first impression of each of the bikes. But fret not, the detailed road test review of these bikes will be up on BikeWale soon. I'm Anuj, welcome to BikeWale, let's get going. The most notable aspect of the 350R is its styling, which I felt is overdone. It looks like the ride of a protagonist of a sci-fi movie. The front end in particular is extremely busy with a lot of plastic panels around its fuel tank. In the quest of making it look sharp and fast even while standing still, the designers have bestowed it with lots of cuts and creases, which for me wasn't a very pleasing sight. At the rear, the skyward pointing tail sports a pair of wide tail lamps along with two slash-cut exhaust cans. Having said that, the motorcycle will surely attract a lot of eyeballs on the road. On the quality front, the Zontes 350R is just about average. While the quality and tactility of the switches are decent, the plastic panels, especially around the fuel tank, feel flimsy and susceptible to breaking easily. Also, on revving the bike hard, we could hear some metal rattling noise from the rear section of the motorcycle. It's a similar story with the instrument cluster, which, although shows a decent amount of information, shows data in a low resolution video game-like layout. Even though the overall quality doesn't impress much, what does is the list of features. As you would expect from a Chinese product, it comes equipped with fancy features like a keyless control system, a tire pressure monitoring system, and a 5-inch color LCD screen that shows plenty of data. The motorcycle also sports a full LED lighting system and a sizable 15-liter fuel tank. Now, looking at the radical and sporty design of the motorcycle, you might think that it offers committed riding position, but that's not the case. Now, getting on the bike is not difficult, neither is getting both your feet on the ground. But when you're seated on the bike, it feels way too relaxed for its overall design theme. Had it been a little away from the rider and a little committed, it would have felt sportier. Having said that, the foot pegs are positioned slightly at the rear, which gives you that sporty feeling. And the seat is quite cushy and spacious as well. Powering the motorcycle is a 348cc single-cylinder liquid-cooled engine that churns out around 38 bhp and 32 Nm of peak torque. Transmission duties are handled by a 6-speed gearbox. While the engine feels reasonably refined at lower revs, the NVH levels rise significantly beyond 5000 to 6000 rpm. As for the performance, it's not very quick off the line, but as the revs climb, there is steady progress in the acceleration. It doesn't surprise you like the 390 Duke, but the build-up of pace is decent. Now that you know the engine specifications of this motorcycle, let's see what kind of audio treatment it offers. Do let us know in comments if you like that sound. Coming to the cycle parts, it rides on swanky looking 17-inch alloy wheels that are suspended by 43mm upside down forks at the front and a monoshock at the rear. Stopping power comes from a 320mm disc at the front and a 265mm rotor at the rear. For added safety, it gets dual channel ABS as standard. As for the ride quality, our short stint with it revealed that the rear kicks back even through small stones or ruts. Front end meanwhile felt absorbent and composed. Talking about the braking setup, the front end felt quite vague as it delivered a decent bite in some instances while not returning any feedback the rest of the time. Even the ABS functioned with substantial intrusion and its motor emanated weird noises at times. Meanwhile, the rear brake had good progression, but it could do with more bite. Owing to the lack of time with the 350R, we couldn't test its handling capabilities. In the Indian market, the Zontes 350R will go up against extremely capable rivals like the KTM 390 Duke, which is one of the most value for money products one can buy. Another competitor comes in the form of the BMW G310R, which promises to deliver an unmatching premium ownership experience. Now let's move on to the adventure touring motorcycle from Zontes, the 350T ADV. This is the more off-road centric version of the 350T touring model, with the only difference being in their wheels. While the touring version gets 17-inch alloy wheels, the ADV trim which we rode gets a 19-17-inch spoke wheel combination. Although the design of the 350T is not as alien as the R version, it is still profoundly radical. The tall windscreen, front beak, crash guards, knuckle guards and rear luggage rack all come together nicely to lend it a rugged look. Adding a touch of sporty and muscular appeal is the horizontally stacked headlamp and deeply contoured fuel tank and side panels. Now, if you think the design is distinctive, the list of features is even more astonishing. There are a host of segment-first goodies like an electronic adjustment for the windscreen, tire pressure monitoring system, and key-operated fuel tank lid and seat. Even the control system like the 350R is keyless. Not to forget, the fuel tank is bigger than the 350R with a capacity of 19 liters. The instrument cluster is the same color LCD unit that's present in the 350R. Now, the quality and fit and finish on the 350T ADV felt better than the 350R. The plastic panels are sturdier and we couldn't hear any strange noises on revving it hard. Even the finishing of the paints and welds and the fitment of components are acceptable.
Now let's talk about the ergonomics of the motorcycle. At 830 mm, the seat height is quite friendly, and it feels more so because of the tapering rear section of the fuel tank, and because of that you can plant both your feet firmly on the ground. As for the handlebar, it is angled towards you, so it is within your easy reach, and the foot pegs are centrally mounted, and even the seat, it's not very spacious but adequately so. The overall riding triangle when you are seated feels pretty natural, and it is equally neutral when you are standing up on the pegs while off-roading. The handlebar is within your easy reach, and I'm saying at 5 feet 11 inches being tall. So it doesn't feel very awkward. You don't have to bend down too much, and again, because of tapering rear section of the fuel tank, you can get hold of the bike with your legs pretty neatly. Now let's see what this particular model of Zontes sounds like.
Powering the 350T ADV is the same 348cc motor that does duty on its naked version. At 38 bhp and 32 Nm, the power and torque output numbers are also the same, along with nearly identical tuning and gear ratios. A quick spin on this bike revealed that it lacks the low-end grunt that you would expect of an adventure tourer. The real punch lies in the mid-range, from where the increment in pace is reasonably quick, if not blistering. And noticeable vibrations exist in this bike too, mainly in the higher revs. To examine its suspension setup, I rode the bike through a rocky section. While the ride felt composed at slow speeds, things weren't really rosy when I picked up the pace. The rear kicked back a little, and the front end too felt soft to handle any thrashing. The ADV suffix in the name also inspired me to try a few small jumps, which only resulted in the front suspension bottoming out easily. The brakes of the 350T were slightly better than the 350R, with decent feedback and bite on the front anchors and relatively more progression on the rear. The ABS also isn't as intrusive. However, the company should have given the option to turn off the ABS at the rear wheel at least. The Zontes 350T has a lot to live up to, as its rivals, the KTM 390 Adventure and the BMW G310 GS, have already set high standards in terms of capabilities and areas of application. We have tested both its rivals comprehensively, and they have turned out to be utterly impressive on many fronts.
So that was the story of the Zontes 350R and the 350T. In the short amount of time that we spent with these bikes riding them, we found there were a couple of desirable bits while there were a lot of areas of improvement. Also, while shooting this video, the pricing hasn't been announced of these bikes, and that will play a key role in deciding whether these bikes will work in our market or not. The detailed road test review will come in later when we'll give you a comprehensive verdict or conclusion or review of these motorcycles. So stay tuned to BikeWale and do not forget to subscribe to our channel.